if you apply the right thoughts at the right time, you will be able to achieve your goal. Whatever you do, don't fall prey to the "it's too simple, I can just skip this focused action." There were a lot of good emails last week sharing with me thoughts about the reframing part 1. One of them that stuck out was from Judy R. And she wrote, "Mo, it feels like I'm lying." Well, I wrote back that praising and thinking good thoughts is far from a lie. And she was asking if it was really necessary or if she could just skip it. I wrote back, "Judy, whatever you do, don't fall prey to simple means it's not effective. Every single action, every focused action that we layer on has a big role when it comes to setting your body up for success. We want you to achieve your goal. These little things will become habitual. You won't even think of them anymore, and they will give you a huge advantage, not only now, but for the rest of your life. I encourage you to reframe how you see thinking good thoughts about good foods as not a lie, but like I said, positive reinforcement like you would a toddler. If a toddler gets up and falls down, you don't say, "Oh, that sucks." You say, "That was really good." Was it really good? No, but the brain is wiring, "Oh, that was really good." So you're willing to try it again and again and again. And guess what? It gets good. I just wanted to throw that out there because maybe there's more of you that are thinking the same thing. Studies have shown that our brains have a natural default of going to the negative. What we really want to do is encourage the positive. The hyper-palatable foods, they already are stirring up way more positive because they're hitting the right centers. We need to encourage that these good foods that are providing those raw materials, that they become strong enough to also give us a good enough hit for us to want to have them become our go-to under stress. The bottom line is we can change those habits and build pathways successfully to turn that around. This week's focus will also be on rewiring our pathway. This time we're going to use negative thoughts in a positive way. I love that statement. We are leveraging our tendency to think negatively and using it in a positive way. So if you're moving along with the 52-week Simplify Self-Care with Mo sequence, you're going to want to minimally start from the stress, eating, drinking, and excess anything, and understand that it's not a lack of willpower. Get that under your belt. Then do the good mood food where I gave you the lists. Take those focused actions for the week. Then part 1 of Retrain Your Reward Pathway, and that'll bring you up to today where we are part 2. Layering on our previous steps of how to reframe using our negative predisposition to our advantage. If you're new here, I'm Mo, and over 52 weeks, I'm sharing the exact process of setting your body up to achieve your goal for good. Any goal. So if you have a goal you want to achieve, you start from week 1 by jumping over to simplifyselfcare.com, sign up for the Sunday email list, and it will guide you step by step, week by week, linking you to each of these exact videos in the exact order needed to layer on the amazing focused actions. You'll get extra tips and tools that set your body up to achieve your goal. So check that out, links below. Also, go to the secret behind the success of Simplified Self-Care if you want to kind of get a bigger picture of what's going on. Today, part 2, retrain your reward pathway using reframing. Reframing, of course, is the third step of your successful strategy to stop stress eating. Remember, this focused strategy is the same when it comes to stopping any of the habits that you turn to. Simply plug in your specifics. These steps so far are supporting your HPA axis, one of the biggest influencers on anything that you want to have as a goal. Anything. That's why it's so important to start with week 1. That lays the foundation, the groundwork. Your HPA axis is working more in balance, so is every other part of your body. So, like last time for part 1, I made a reframing part 2 little animation. Very simple. What do you do for part 2? When you're eating or consuming and have made the decision to partake in any of the things you reach to during stress, you're going to make the micro decision that you will focus on the true negative impact this highly palatable addictive food has on your body. You got to get very clear that the happy hormone hit you will experience will strengthen your reward pathway for mere moments. And then it's going to cause a negative impact that you would like to avoid. Say it out loud. Really consciously focus on what you know happens when your body consumes this or does whatever. It depletes you. It promotes cravings. It creates this tug of war. You start to blame your lack of willpower. Your mood gets depressed. So what do? Literally, reframe your thoughts about this hyper palatable food. While you're consuming it, you're saying, my energy is getting sucked out of me. My chronic issues are definitely going to flare. My mood's going to be crappy. I'm going to be unbearable. My bowels are going to be terrible. They're going to either go nuts or I'm going to get backed up. My skin is going to look older. My body fat is going to increase. I'm unable to gain weight. My inflammation is going to go up. Whatever your goal is, recognize you're going to be further away. I say it again, this seems silly, even ridiculous, but when you repeat this over and over and over, you're going to be amazed, because over time, the reward pathway reduces its connection to that food. Look, we spend a tremendous amount of time doing this. Okay, I'm going to do 30, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, and put off having anything that you feel brings you sheer joy, whether it's chocolate or coffee or whatever, wine, it doesn't really matter. We all go through this when we're shifting. And then I'm just going to use me for an example. What I would find out is, okay, I was really good for whatever, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. And then I would have that Merlot. And I would sit there with that Merlot and I would make such a big stinking deal about it. Right? That would be part one. I was training my brain to really, really like this thing. Did I really, really love it that much? No. I loved the hit it gave me. I loved the feeling that it gave me. And I had to reframe and say, okay, I'm going to have this wine. But instead of sitting there and going, oh, this is great, and making my connection stronger, I had to say, okay, I'm going to have this, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. This is not going to help me get to my goal. This is going to make me feel like crap in the morning. This, and every time I consumed that, I needed to reframe it. So my connection was, over time, less and less drawn to that. The funniest, I'm going to share with you, because people always ask this, but I'm going to share with you. I was doing jury duty, and one of the women there said, I have to ask you this. Like, what do you eat? Like, what is your go-to now? And without even thinking, I was like, oh my God, duck fat and apricots in season. They were like, whoa, that was definitely not what I was expecting. But then I went on to, oh my God, well, when you cook the duck, it's a duck breast, and then you take the skin off, and then you slice it thin, and you fry it. It's got everything. It's got the fat, it's got the salt, it's got the whatever, and it's good for me. So it does work. It takes time, it takes consistency, but if you apply the right thoughts at the right time, you will be able to achieve your goal. Consistently, each meal, each snack, when eating the unwanted addictive item that you've opted to include, spend the nanosecond reframing it. Refuse to buy into the idea of savoring it and identifying it as a treat. That is just sabotaging your goals. I'm going to go deeper into that, sabotaging goals. But just avoid that trap at all costs. Again, refuse to call it a treat. Refuse to make it bigger and more glorious than it is. That's what I asked you to do last time with the good food. That's where you got to spend that energy. I used to share all the time when I was stressed, when I had a really bad decade with a lot of miscarriages and fetal deaths, and just it was a horrific time. And I got more and more addicted to Little Debbie squares, Merlot, a loaf of bread, donuts, Pringles, coffee. And I would literally, on my way down to the appointment, had so much stress, I would stop off at a grocery store that I knew had Little Debbie's, the Crullers, the Pringles. I would literally buy all the things except for the Merlot. I would wait until 5 o'clock for the Merlot. But I would go get those things. I would have them in my car, and then I would go in for my appointment, and I would come out and literally sit and consume all of those to make myself feel better. So I know where you're at, and I know what it takes. This is something you can 100% do. You have to decide if you want to. The tools to use are in your hands. We're retraining your reward pathway so that it desires and has you reaching for the things that provide your body with benefits now as well as in the future, and a good happy hormone hit. We all need happy hormone hits during stressful times. We're just retraining where you're getting it from. It's simple. Definitely not easy at first, but it is simple, and you can absolutely do this. Take it one micro decision at a time. You've got this. If you're stumbling, if you're hitting a hurdle, put it in the comments below. Write to me in the email at simplifyselfcare.com. Until next week, use your tendency for negativity positively.